Am I the asshole for not stocking the fridge for my husband after his business trip? My husband went out of the country for a business trip and returned home over the weekend. I was out of town visiting friends when he returned. His gripe was that he was left with no food. For context, I do the majority of the grocery shopping, 90/10, and he does his share of other chores, etc. I admit, there was not a refrigerator full of fresh food because I did not go to the store that week. However, I can attest there was a freezer with several meals and a pantry with food that could have been prepared. Perhaps not what he was hoping for, but there were some options. Also, we live in a major city with plenty of grocery stores and restaurants within walking distance. Again, not ideal after a red-eye international flight, but options. At first it wasn't a big deal, more of a joke, but when he repeatedly made jabs at me about it, I stood up for myself, and now it's a full-blown argument. We are both stubborn people. I can acknowledge that it would have been nice if I had stocked the fridge upon his return from the trip. However, I work a full-time job myself, and I see it as we are both capable adults at providing food for ourselves when the other is busy. I've got to know, am I the asshole in this situation? If only men had access to the family money and allowed to go to grocery stores. I surely hope he did not starve to death. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. He's a grown man who can grab takeout or cook from the freezer/pantry. It would have been nice to have fresh groceries, sure, but you're not his mom. If it was really important to him, he could have asked beforehand or picked some up himself. His repeated jabs make it more about entitlement than actual hunger. What got me was the restaurants and grocery stores within walking distance. He literally didn't even have to get the car out to get something to eat, besides the fact that there was food in the freezer and pantry. His reaction is just over the top. Not the asshole. He is a grown man. Why didn't he have it stocked for you when you got home? Not the asshole. Did he never go on business trips when he was single? Does he not know how to function as an independent adult? Not the asshole. Sure, he can be disappointed to not have anything he wanted / that wasn't frozen or fast food. But the moment that disappointment became anger towards you, it went out of line. Am I the asshole for telling my girlfriend I won't do all the cleaning just because I work from home? I, 29 male, work remotely full-time. My girlfriend, 28 female, works at an office. We recently moved in together, and suddenly she expects me to handle all the household chores because I'm already home all day. I told her that working from home doesn't mean I'm free to vacuum, cook, and do laundry between meetings. I already do my fair share, but she keeps saying it's not equal because she commutes. Last week I refused to do the dishes she left after dinner, saying I wasn't going to be treated like her housekeeper. She snapped that I was being selfish. Am I the asshole for refusing to do more chores just because I work from home? Not the asshole, to be honest. WFH can, job depending, afford some additional flexibility at home, like putting a load of washing on at lunchtime, etc., and there is obviously the fact that you're at home more, so dirtying the house more. So I do see that a partner who WFH might have that flexibility, however it has to be a conversation, an agreement, not a demand. Since you just moved in together, it would appear you want the relationship to work, so sitting down and discussing fair division of labor is a normal part of those early living together niggles. You going to the internet to prove you have done nothing wrong doesn't particularly solve the issue. Info: how long is her commute? If she's commuting over an hour in each direction, that's 2 hours a day you have extra, for example. I'm not saying you should do all the cleaning and chores, but it would be nice of you to pop her washing in the machine for her, or load/unload the dishwasher. Not while you're working, obviously, but in the morning before you start work, or before she gets home. If her commute is short, then you don't have much more free time than she does. Not the asshole, but if she cooked you dinner and you didn't do the dishes, you suck. As a team, you should aim to have the same amount of free time, because you should want that for your partner. If she has a long commute and you have none, then your fair share should be a bigger percentage of chores. Not saying all the chores or that you have to do them during your work day, but remember that you're a team. Sounds like she's got a bit of an attitude because she's jealous of your extra free time and is expressing it poorly. Try to use some of that free time to benefit you both, and her tune will change. How much does she does around the house, and what is her commute? Commute does factor in. If she is commuting an hour one way, for example, you bet I'm cleaning a few of her dishes. If she slacks with chores and has a short commute, I'd be changing my tune. Info: how long is her commute? Am I the asshole for asking my FIL to wear shoe covers or take his shoes off in our apartment? I, 31F, live with my husband, 33M, in a small one-bedroom with a very light rug. I had foot surgery 6 weeks ago and do my PT at home on the rug with a mat. Because of that, we set a temporary no-shoes rule to keep it clean and avoid tracking in dirt and germs. We put a bench by the door, a rack, slippers in multiple sizes, and a box of disposable shoe covers for folks who can't or don't want to take shoes off. Everyone's been fine with it, except my father-in-law. He's visited 3 times since my surgery and refuses every time. He says it's rude to tell guests what to do with their shoes, and I'm not wrestling with boots in your doorway. I offered him shoe covers, a stool, a long-handled shoehorn, even said he could keep a pair of slide-on slippers here. He said shoe covers are demeaning, and the last time he came in anyway with muddy treads. I had to spend an hour spot cleaning, which sucked because standing still hurts right now. After the 3rd round of arguing, I told him calmly, I want you here, but if you won't remove or cover your shoes while I'm recovering, let's meet at your place or out for lunch. He got quiet, left early, and later told my husband I banned him from our home. My husband thinks I embarrassed his dad and should have let it slide for family harmony, because it's temporary and not worth the drama. I told him the rule applies to everyone, even delivery drivers, and I'm the one who has to clean this crap up when I can barely bend. Ick if I'm being too strict or made it into a bigger deal than it had to be. I get that shoe customs vary, and I don't want to be a jerk over a rug. But I also feel like we offered a lot of reasonable options and got nowhere. Am I the asshole for enforcing the shoes off or shoe cover rule and suggesting we meet elsewhere if he won't comply? Any scripts or compromises I'm missing here? Info: why is your husband not cleaning this up? Not the asshole, but the real problem is your husband. Why is he more concerned about his father's ego than your physical health? And he should clean up after him if he's so concerned about FIL's feelings. We set a temporary no-shoes rule to keep it clean and avoid tracking in dirt and germs. Not the asshole. This is your house. Your FIL should respect it, and if he can't, maybe he shouldn't be coming over. My husband thinks I embarrassed his dad and should have let it slide for family harmony, because it's temporary and not worth the drama. I'm the one who has to clean this crap up when I can barely bend. You don't have a FIL problem. You have a husband problem. As a Canadian, it boggles my mind that people expect to keep shoes on indoors in a private home. Not the asshole. Info: why are you the one who has to clean it up when you can barely bend? Does your husband care about you at all? Seems like you have a much bigger problem here. My husband and I split duties. He's the one who does vacuuming and mopping anyway. But even if he didn't, you'd bet he'd volunteer if I was recovering from injury or surgery. Not the asshole, but your husband is. He should either be laying down the law for his father or doing all the cleaning. This guy is willing to sacrifice you to appease his father. This is a more serious problem than just about shoes. Would I be the asshole if I told my parents I don't want to take care of my sibling my whole life? I'm in the US, forgot to mention. Honestly, I wouldn't have a choice anyways, but my brother has Down syndrome, and ever since he was born, it was basically expected that I would take care of him forever. I love him, I really do, but I'm not sure if I'll be stable enough to take care of him, or if he'll be able to take care of myself as well. And I just wonder how that would affect my relationships in the future, although I doubt I'll be interested in dating. I feel guilty whenever I see videos of people with their disabled siblings and taking care of them without complaints, while here I'm complaining, but my perspective on this will likely change in the future. Edit: you're all so nice I kinda cried. Your brother deserves to live the biggest, fullest life he can live, and that might just be in a supported living situation where he's surrounded by people and activities and has more choices and opportunities than you can give him. It's your parents' job to make sure that he has the best life he can have, not yours. Not the asshole, but it would be best to have a bigger conversation about the provisions they made for him. He deserves so much more support than a single lay person can give him. Not the asshole. It's better to confront this feeling than to try and end up resenting them. How old are you? There are many versions of care, and you may not be able to be a full-tone caregiver, but it sounds like you love your brother, and just being in his life may be a huge part of caring for him. Take it one step at a time, but this feeling doesn't make you an AH. Oh, F that. Not the asshole. You didn't decide to have kids, your parents did. The fact your brother has Down syndrome doesn't change that. Being a caregiver is no joke, and something that consumes your life, so not only do you need to be committed to it, you have to want to do it. This requires being able to provide proper medical care. It is unrealistic to think that caregiving is for everyone. You being honest about your ability doesn't make you selfish or bad, nor does it mean you don't love your brother. It means you love him enough to want him to have proper care, with trained professionals in a setting that allows him to socialize, make friends, and have a better quality of life. Not the asshole. I'd say it's up to your parents to provide him with a care network that can take care of your brother and not make it your responsibility. Definitely talk with your parents. See what resources are out there to aid in caring for your brother. He isn't your responsibility, but you can help him find living assistance and familiar resources for sure. Not the asshole. Make your intentions known to your parents now and repeat as often as needed. Your parents need to start planning for when they are no longer able to care for your brother, either due to old age or due to them no longer being around. It is unreasonable to expect someone to take on the care for a disabled sibling, especially for the rest of that person's life. And it will affect your future to a big extent in all aspects of life. I don't know how old you are, but you can look for information leaflets at your local government about residential care for disabled adults. Take them home and leave them on the kitchen table or wherever your parents will find it. Your brother is not your responsibility.